Gaza's humanitarian crisis has reached catastrophic levels, with over 56,000 dead, many of them women and children, since the conflict erupted in October 2023. Nearly all of Gaza's 2.1 million residents have been displaced, forced into overcrowded shelters or makeshift camps, as famine and disease spread under a suffocating blockade. Even seeking aid is perilous. Hundreds have died trying to access food and medicine. The world has watched in alarm, but a new unexpected voice has entered the fray: former US President Donald Trump. Trump's sudden call for a ceasefire has injected a sliver of hope, shifting the conversation and forcing all sides to respond. Could this intervention break the deadlock? The stakes for Gaza's future have never been higher. On June 27, Trump stunned the world by declaring a Gaza ceasefire could be reached within a week, urging, "Make the deal in Gaza, get the hostages back." His plan centers on a phased release of Israeli hostages by Hamas, in exchange for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel, a familiar but fraught formula. Trump also proposes daily pauses in fighting to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza, aiming to ease starvation and suffering. This bold move bypasses stalled official talks, applying public pressure on leaders to act. With negotiations frozen since March, Trump's direct approach is shaking up the diplomatic landscape. Can this unconventional push force a breakthrough? The world is watching for any sign of movement. Despite talk of a ceasefire, Israeli military operations in Gaza have only intensified, with new evacuation orders forcing thousands to flee once again. Israel insists that military pressure is the only way to secure the hostages' release and force Hamas to negotiate. Meanwhile, massive protests have erupted across Israel, with families of hostages and thousands of citizens demanding a deal to end the war. The anguish of hostage families has become the moral center of the anti-war movement, but the government remains unmoved. The divide between public outcry and official policy is growing. As the conflict grinds on, the cost in lives and trust deepens. The question remains, will public pressure change the course of the war? Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has dismissed talk of an imminent ceasefire, denying any serious negotiations are underway. The core issue: Israel demands Hamas's disarmament and exile of its leaders, while Hamas insists on a full Israeli withdrawal and a permanent end to the war. These irreconcilable positions have stalled all progress, with each side viewing compromise as existentially dangerous. Netanyahu's own political survival is at stake, as he faces a corruption trial and mounting criticism at home. Trump, meanwhile, has publicly defended Netanyahu, calling his legal troubles a political witch hunt. The diplomatic impasse remains unbroken, even as the crisis worsens. Can outside pressure force a shift, or will the deadlock persist? The push for a Gaza ceasefire comes amid recent regional shifts, including a fragile truce between Israel and Iran that has sparked cautious optimism. High-level talks continue behind the scenes, with Israeli officials set to meet U.S. leaders in Washington, yet deep mistrust lingers, both between Israel and its neighbors, and between Israel and Hamas. The demands on both sides remain far apart, making compromise elusive. Trump's intervention has raised hopes, but the realities on the ground: ongoing violence, political denials, and immense suffering temper any optimism. Hostage families and protesters refuse to give up, their voices echoing the urgent need for peace. The world waits, caught between hope and fear, as the fate of Gaza hangs in the balance. Will this be the moment peace finally takes hold, or just another fleeting chance lost to history?